part is the tie-dye table.
Meet Diana Merida. She's a speech pathologist from New Jersey who works with children who have autism spectrum disorder and other developmental disabilities. She's also a mom to 5-year-old Chelsea and 3-year-old Chloe. Diana and her husband are part of a growing group of American parents opting for alternative vaccination schedules, and in some cases deciding to forego certain vaccines altogether.
As a medical professional, I knew when I had my daughters I'd vaccinate. But when I actually held them in my arms and looked at this 8-pound perfect little bundle of joy, I thought, what if there is a chance that the vaccine overwhelms their system? And I had read Dr. Bob Sear's book on attachment parenting, which made sense to me. And there was mention of the alternative schedule in there, along with the parents of students with autism who I've worked with, who I know opt for alternative schedules as well. And it made sense for me that I was able to look at the CDC schedule and talk to my medical physician and come up with an alternative schedule that worked for our family and my daughters.
The Centers for Disease Control published a schedule of more than 30 recommended vaccinations to be administered in the first 6 years of a child's life. Diana's daughters are up to date on their vaccines, but Diana said she made sure they had no more than 2 injections per visit, with each of those visits spread out by at least 3 months.
For me, the reason for that schedule was to avoid a vaccine injury. And I truly feel that for whatever reason, our infants' guts are compromised and they're not able to process the vaccines as well, and their systems may get overloaded.
Vaccine safety has been a hot-button issue in the United States for several years, owed in part to a later retracted study by Andrew Wakefield linking the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine to a range of developmental disabilities, including autism. Celebrities such as actress Jenny McCarthy and comedian Jim Carrey have campaigned against childhood vaccines, blaming the rise in the diagnoses of developmental disabilities on a child's reaction to the injections. Most recently, actor Robert De Niro came under fire for agreeing to host, but later canceling, the screening of Dr. Wakefield's documentary Vaxxed at the Tribeca Film Festival. Despite numerous medical studies refuting a causal relationship between vaccines and developmental disabilities, the fight between public health measures and a parent's desire to choose what's best for his or her child continues.
We know that vaccines do good, and we've given so many doses of vaccines over the years that I think we have a pretty good understanding of what kind of track record to expect. But there is a feeling that that makes it very concentrated with a lot of vaccines all at the same time over a very short period. Generally, there isn't a problem with this. Generally, children tolerate this well. Their immune systems are more than able to cope with this, because we're surrounded by many things all the time that our immune systems have to deal with in the real world, you know.
What Professor Morse is more concerned about is children like Diana's having regular access to medical care if parents opt for an alternative vaccination schedule.
There are people who may not have regular access to health care, and in that case, there may not be the opportunity for regular follow-up. That may be the only chance that they have when they go to a clinic or an emergency department. That may be the only chance they have to get the vaccine. So in that case, you want to make sure that they don't slip through the cracks of the system.
As cases of measles and pertussis pop up in states across the country, many health scientists and parents say they're concerned that the anti- and alternative vaccination movements are taking a hold on the population.
If people rely on everyone else to take the vaccine, that herd immunity is going to obviously become less and less effective. Those holes in the armor, if you will, are going to get bigger and bigger. And we're going to see not just highly transmissible diseases like measles, but also other infections that will be able to get through herd immunity if enough people opt out.
I love the pitch.
Joanna Stanberry, a mom of 2 from Harlem, New York, said she worries about some parents foregoing the advice of their doctor in favor of what they read on message boards or hear in parent groups.
You know, I know so many moms who trust Dr. Google to tell them, and then they try and tell their doctor and convince their doctor to do something different. And it's really scary to think that in a couple of years that the risk could be just as great for our kids whether or not they're vaccinated.
In this country, we can afford complacency about these infections because we haven't generally seen them, and that's largely because of vaccines, also our living conditions.
Meaning the choice to delay or forego vaccinations is one unique to developed countries, where life-threatening viruses have been nearly eliminated for decades. Amy Keene, Financial Times, New York.